What's up guys, in this video I want to show you how to create this cool chrome text effect using Adobe Photoshop. It's actually pretty simple and the result looks pretty nice. You can apply this effect on a text and a logo. So let's get right into it. First of all, I want to mention that there is a link in the description down below if you guys want to download. I created a mockup for this and I will show later in this video how to use it. So I opened up Photoshop. We're going to create a 3000 by 3000 canvas. First of all, we want to create a black background. For that, we'll go to adjustment layers and then select solid color, choose black, click OK, create a group, call this background, unlock and remove this layer because we don't need it. Then we have to add the text. For that, I used the Salvage. I got no idea how you pronounce that word. Display font, which looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to type the text, chrome text. There we go. Now I want to play a little bit with the kerneling. Every once in a while I will throw the greatest Photoshop tips. So every time you hear this sound effect, that's what's up. We want to play with the kerneling. For example, I want to make this space a little bit bigger, and for that what we'll actually use is while we hold Alt, we'll just use the left and right arrows. This adds or removes space between the letters. Okay, now that we have the text, we want to make this a little bit bigger. Scale this up. So basically what I was editing, I noticed that my interpolation was set to nearest neighbor, which is okay for pixel art because I worked on a pixel art project before making this video. I recommend having it on bilinear for crisp quality. Align center. And now what we want to do is actually double click this layer, this chrome text layer. First of all, we'll use bevel and emboss. For the style, we need inner bevel. For the technique, we use smooth. For the depth, we'll go to 1000, so basically the maximum. Then for the direction, we go down. Then for the size, now here it depends on the size of your graphic. For example, if you created a smaller canvas, you will need a smaller size. But also you got this preview here. The preview will kind of tell you if it's too much or not. So for this example, I'll go with 15. If you want it to look more soft, you will increase the softness to about 8, but I will keep it to a 6 here. Then for the shading, we got the angle at 90 degrees and 30 degrees. And for the contour, you have to choose this one right here with 2 mountains or whatever. For the highlight mode, we want to keep it on white, and for the shadow mode, we keep it on black with the opacity of about 54%. Then what we'll do next is actually create an inner shadow, which basically will kind of fade the edges, and we'll make it have this 3D look. You can increase the choke to, if you want, you can go to a 3 or a 2. For this example, I will just keep it to 0. For the size, for the size, it depends on how 3D you want this thing to look like. It depends on the weight of the font. For example, if the font is bolder, you can actually go with the bigger size, but if the font is thin, you have to stick with the smaller size. So for this video, I'll go with a 70. If you want to create this effect for a logo, I also recommend using a gradient overlay, but I will show that later in this video. Now we'll click on OK. Now that we have the effect, what we want to do next is create a new adjustment layer, create a curve. We'll create sort of like an S curve. Now, the more you raise this one up, the more you will be able to see the effect.
What?
I don't want to make this very harsh, so I will just keep it like this. Also, we want to put this text into a group and apply this curve just to the group. We can do that by holding Alt and clicking in between the layers. Now that we have this curve set up, what we want to do next is create a gradient map. Also, if you use the template in the description below, there you can find 5 gradient presets that I've created. But for now, I'll try to create this from scratch just to show you guys how to make this. What I did was I actually took default Photoshop gradients. I used this gradient. Now what we want to do is we want to keep the color to about 25% and 75%. And here at 0 we want to add black, and also for the 100% location. Then for the middle, which is 50, we want to use white. So what we have now is actually sort of like a retro text. Also, we want to apply this gradient just to the group. We can name this one text. And we can do that again by holding Alt and clicking in between the layers so that white edge disappears. We can see that we have this sort of posterized effect on the type. We can remove that by adding noise. So in order to add noise, what we will do is we'll create a new layer, select this whole layer. Make sure you have the rectangle tool selected. Right click, fill, 50% gray. We'll change the blend mode to linear light. If we want to change this later, meaning that we want to change the settings for the noise, we have to create this as a smart object, convert this to a smart object, and then apply the filter, noise, add noise effect. We want to go for an amount that is not going to make it obvious, so maybe a 2 would actually work better. And then we click on OK, and if we want to edit that, we'll just double click here and we can edit this whenever we want to. I'm gonna put this in a group, call this noise. What we can do now, we can still go back to the settings, go to the text, double click on this layer and play again with the settings. Maybe if we want to increase the size just to see how this reacts, increase the size or make it soft. It already looks pretty cool. Now if we want to create more sort of like a 3D text, the way I created it here, what we have to do is add some midtones, because we can see that this effect is lacking midtones. We can see only white and the dark parts of it. In order to add midtones, what we want to do is create sort of like a 3D contrast. In order to actually achieve that, what we need to do is create a copy of this whole text, and for that what we want to do is first of all hide the background, so we'll isolate the text. Also for this one, I don't want to go with the noise, so I would just hide this noise layer. And now that we only have the text, click on the layer and press Ctrl Alt Shift E, which basically will create a new layer with everything that is shown. And for that, what we want to do next is go to Filter, 3D, and generate a normal map. Now for the normal map, what we want to do is we want to keep the detail scale to the maximum value. And then for the blur, here it depends again on how harsh you want this text to look like. I will keep it on a 3, then we click on OK. And now we have this thing that doesn't look like anything. What we want to do is we want to make this a black and white and also invert this thing. So to make it black and white, we click on Control Shift U, and then to invert it we use Control I. Also this is a bug, these color around it. Now we have to change the blending mode to something like screen, color dodge, lighten, lighter color. I will use lighten for this one, and also make it less obvious. Zoom in a bit to the point where it's not going to be very harsh here. There we go, like a 65. Then we can enable the background again, and now what we can do is add some glow to this. We can do that by clicking on this layer and pressing Ctrl J. We go to Filter, Gaussian Blur. We can see how it starts glowing. I will go with a 60. I also change the blending mode to screen, and also here we can adjust the opacity. I'll keep it at a 770. It depends how obvious you want this glow to look like. There we go. I'm gonna increase this a bit. Now if we want to add some small shiny spots, we'll create a shape that will have the form of a star. Make sure you have 4 selected here. And also for the settings, we want to go with the free form, and you can copy these settings. While holding shift, we'll create this shape, make it like a star. Then Control J, create another one, and for this we'll press Control T for free transform. Rotate to 45 degrees on the width or the height. Make sure you have this linked. Change it to 60%. Now that we have this glow, and we got these 2 shapes, we want to select these 2 layers and click on merge shapes. I will name this star. Then go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur. We will need to convert this to a smart object. Then for the blur, we want to go small because we will make this thing very small. So 3, it's fine. Then again, click on Control T, make this smaller, and just add a few shining points, just like that. Or actually, I see now that the Gaussian blur is too much, so we'll go with a 2 or maybe a 1.5, something like that. Yeah, 1.5 should be okay. We can copy and add these small points. We can create a group called stars, and by holding Alt while selecting this, we can drag multiple points, rotate them, and there we go. Now you can obviously make small adjustments to the previous effects, and this will change the final output. Maybe you want to play with the curve, you want to play with everything you have here, add noise, whatever you want to do. Just be creative. You can even change the gradient. Yeah, that's pretty much it. After you've downloaded the PSD template file, it should look something like this. We got the Adidas logo, and now we can see here we have multiple layers. I will start with the first one. The first layer is basically where you can actually replace your logo. All you have to do is double click on this smart object. Now here we can see that we have the white logo, and here you can place whatever you want to. For example, if we replace this with a Nike logo, just get rid of the old one. Now we got the Nike logo here, which is kind of cool. I'll keep the Adidas one. Now the next layer is actually the one with the shining stars. If we show this layer, you can see that now you have the star shape here. You can actually do whatever you want with it. It already has the Gaussian blur enabled, so you just have to make this smaller. If you want to make copies of this, hold Alt and move it where you want. Now the next layer is the one with the effects. We have the glow, which by default is enabled, and we have the noise effect. We have 5 gradients that we can apply. Obviously you should have only one at a time. And this layer actually contains all the changes for the chrome effect. If you want to make changes to this, you just have to unlock this, collapse, and then go here, double click this layer, and you have all these settings. We have this gradient overlay. Basically what this does, it creates sort of like a light. You can see that if you rotate this, it will change the way the light reflects on the object. Then if you want to change the curve, you can do that here. And also if you want to change the background, you just go here and double click on this black square and make it whatever you want. Alright guys, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Instagram. Thanks for watching.